Hi everyone and welcome to Amy Learns to Cook. On the show today, we're going to do my ultimate stand mixer challenge. So we are putting 3 stand mixers against each other that are all under $100 to see which one is the best. We're going to be using a Dashco. We're going to be using a Sunbeam Mixmaster Heritage series, and we're going to be using a Hamilton Beach. So join me for my ultimate stand mixer challenge. So my idea for testing stand mixers is I wanted to know, is there an alternative to the more expensive KitchenAids and Bosches? Those tend to run $300, $400, $500. And for someone who is just new to cooking or doesn't want to invest that kind of money, they've never had a stand mixer before, I wanted to know if there was a mixer that was under $100 that would do the basic functions that the KitchenAid does. It might not do the same things in terms of all its features, but could you do the basic things? Could you choose the beater, the whip, and the dough? And all of these mixers claim that they do that. So we're going to test it out to see if that is actually true. So I've devised my little categories about how I'm going to judge the mixers. And of course, this isn't any kind of scientific study. This is just a home cook study, right? So what we have is our first category, we're going to be looking at the overall look and feel of the mixer, which includes the ability to clean it, how heavy it is, how easy that it is to use. The second one is we're going to use the beater, and we are going to make 2 different kinds of cookies. We're going to be making oatmeal and chocolate chip in each mixer. Our third area is the whip. We're going to be whipping some meringue. One challenge is some of the mixers don't come with a whip, or the whip is extra. You have to pay extra to get one. So we're going to have to whip them with the beater. And the final one is the dough. And dough is the most challenging for any stand mixer. We're going to be making a basic white bread to see if they can handle just a simple dough recipe. And then we are going to crown the winner of the under $100 mixer category. And then we are going to be testing the more expensive mixers. And the winner of this challenge and the winner of the more expensive mixers are going to go head to head in the ultimate challenge of making wheat bread. So, Dashco is a cute little red mixer. I got it at Walmart. The price on it was $30. It is a 3-quart stand mixer. Our very first test of this is to measure the capacity of the bowl. This Dashco claims that it's 3 quarts. And yeah, it might be 3 quarts with the bowl, but there was an issue with it. So as you can see, this is supposed to be a 3-quart bowl. We put 2 quarts of water in here. We only have this much room left, but 2 quarts of water is already over the max line. So we have an issue right there. I'm very concerned about, its longevity, about how this thing is going to hold up. And I really think, you can look, measured by the price, I think it's probably what you would expect for $30. I would say the overall look and feel, it's cute, but I'm going to give it a D. Second contender is the Sunbeam Mixmaster. And this is the Heritage series, and we're all familiar with the Sunbeam. This is the classic mixer that I remember growing up. They've made these for a long time, over 100 years. There's some mixers that are still going strong that were made in the 40s. Okay, so on the field test, we want to see if it actually has the capacity that they claim on the box. They claim 4.6 quarts, so I filled this up with water. So I put 4 quarts of water in here, and the box says that it is a 4.6 quart bowl. So 4.6 quarts is pushing it. So the bowl's capacity was an issue on this. Another issue is whether or not it can be cleaned. And one of the things, I put this in the dishwasher because it said it was dishwasher safe, and the bowl came out just fine. The problem is, if you can hear that, there's a little bit of water stuck in there. And I washed this yesterday, and I can't get that water out. It won't affect my food because it won't touch the food, but that's an issue. That means that this really isn't dishwasher safe because it's 2-layer and there's a gap that's letting water in there. So that's an issue. So the dishwasher safeness of this is a no, right? So the overall look and feel of the mixer. It's a sturdy mixer. It is plastic on the outside, but it supposedly has metal gears. It was quiet when I ran it before. I like the overall look and feel. One issue is if you want to push it back on your counter, you're going to leave it on your counter and you have a low counter, you might not be able to get this underneath it. You'll have to judge that, whether it will fit underneath your counter. Otherwise, it has a good look and feel. I'm concerned about the mixing action, how that will perform. But I think it's pretty good. I give it a B. It's a Hamilton Beach stand mixer. This is a 3.5 quart mixer and it runs about $80. I got a good deal on it because Walmart was doing a July Black Friday event, so I got it for about $50. The problem is the dough hook. The dough hook is made out of metal, but it's not stainless steel. This is what happens with the KitchenAid dough hook as well and beater. If you don't get ones that are coated, the beaters don't come coated. They are what we call burnished metal. And what happens is this starts giving out this really ugly gray powder when you put it in the dishwasher. And it happened with this. So this is not dishwasher safe as they claim. It took Eric an hour to scrub all that powder off to get it to where we can even use it. So if you do buy one of those, just be aware that this is not dishwasher safe. Don't throw it in the dishwasher or you could potentially ruin it. It appears as though the Hamilton Beach is the only one that the bowl is truly what they say it is on the box. They claim it's 3.5 quarts. I put 3.5 quarts in here and I still have a little lip. Now, you wouldn't fill it this full when you're beating because the beater is going to go way below here and you don't want it riding up on the beater. But at least they do have a bowl that meets that claim. So one of the things that this stand mixer does that the other doesn't do is give us that action that the KitchenAid. The concern I have with it is this shape of this bowl. It's really narrow at the end, and I'm afraid that when it starts mixing in here, is it really going to get down there and get all that stuff? We'll see, right? The other issue is the suction cups. It's held down by these suction cups. And anytime you want to move this thing, it's like rip it from the counter, right? That the suction cups will help it from moving around and rocking around. But at the same time, if you want to move it or anything, it's just a real pain in the rear to move it. So that's a consideration. It is, a good price, but that can be kind of irritating. So my overall rating for this stand mixer in terms of the look and feel, I pretty much give it a B. Main reason is this is an issue and the suction cups are an issue.
All right, so for the cookie test, we're actually going to be doing two, oatmeal and chocolate chip. We're doing chocolate chip because they said they can do it. We want to see if they can do what they say, right? Because we don't believe them. So we're going to be doing the classic Nestle Toll House cookie recipe. It's on the back. So if you want to know what the recipe is, buy a bag and read the back. But we'll glance through it really quickly for you. First thing we're going to do is we're going to put in 2 full sticks of butter. This is like a cup of butter. This is unsalted. So we're just going to go ahead and put those in there. And lower this guy down. So I have a 3/4 cup of white granulated sugar and 3/4 cup of brown sugar that was packed in there and stuff. So just for time purposes, we pre-combined them for you. So we're going to dump them in there. And we're going to go ahead and beat this until it's creamy here, right? I'm going to scrape the sides a little. Oh yeah, butter's pretty heavy. So I give this guy props for not walking himself off the table here. So maybe suction cups are doing their job, right? Basically, after like not even a minute, you can clearly see all this stuff is caked to the side of the bowl. These beaters aren't even touching it. KitchenAid and maybe others, I don't know, have beaters that might have little rubber stuff on the side, so it kind of scrapes it for you. This guy lacks that. So what it means is you're going to have to scrape down the sides a lot more frequently. We're going to put in a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I think I cheated. I put about 1.5 because I like it, right? Plus it's a big container I put it in. So I think that's in there pretty good. So we're going to, all right. So we're going to do another scrape down on this. With the butter, it's obviously sticking to the sides. We'll have to see if the other guys do that. Now this is the fun part. We're going to add 2 large eggs, one at a time. So I'm just going to kind of put this on low because I don't want to make a mess, right? Actually, let's... We're going to scrape the bowl down again here. So the eggs definitely are adding a little liquid to it. This is going to be the fun part. Now we get to beat in the flour. So ahead of time, we took 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of salt, and just combined it together. So this is going to be the second to the last ingredients we put in here, right? Put this on low so I don't make a mess of myself. And now one of the things is we want to incorporate this in here, but we also don't want to beat this to make the gluten or whatever crazy on us. Amy knows more about flour than I do. I just know that it's going to pretty much beat this machine up if I overbeat it. Clearing this off the top, this lip of the beaters. In fact, I can kind of show you a little bit maybe. Right here, there's a bunch of flour up there. Why? Because it didn't really give me a whole lot of room to add it while it's beating. If you want to stop the machine and just pour it all in once, you can do that, but that's not the way you're supposed to do things. So this is kind of a bad design that they have a flat lip that can catch stuff from above. So that's not good. Also, I need to turn the speed up on this. So we're going to do that. And we just want to get this stuff well mixed in, which it appears to be doing. So it looks like it's mixed in. I don't really see powdered anything sitting there, so it looks like it's all mixed in pretty good. So now is going to be the fun part, right? We get to put in some chips. So here, they actually have a button here, or if you turn it backwards, it's called fold. That just allows you to do it on low speed and get it incorporated. So we have 2 cups of these chocolate chips in here, so we're going to do that. So we'll see how. Okay, it's bogging down a little, right? It's not dead yet. So let's turn it on to, oh, that's another example. We got a bunch of chocolate chips got caught in the top here. So once again, little defect, right? So try to coax some of them out. So since it basically did what it was supposed to do, I'm going to give it a B. If it didn't require so much scraping off the sides and didn't kind of make a mess on the top, I probably would have given it an A. It basically stayed in place. It mixed okay. It bogged down a little bit towards the end. So with a thicker batter or dough, that might be room for concerns. But this is worthy of a B, I believe. We'll try the oatmeal cookie before we give our final grade on it. All right, so now we got the Dash and Go as our middle choice, so we're going to fire him up. So I'm just going to go ahead and just turn him upside down. He's got suction cups, but they're not that strong, which is kind of groovy, so maybe this won't be a pain to deal with. I got a $5 bet with Amy that this thing walks itself off and we'll need search and rescue to find it on the floor somewhere. We're going to throw in 2 sticks of softened butter here. Yay, made it in there. I'm just going to beat those kind of real quick here. Okay. It doesn't really beat all that well unless you have a spatula helping out. So we'll have to keep that in mind, right? So next, we're going to go ahead and throw in the sugar that we've already pre-combined here. So maybe we'll do a better job on this. So it's almost in there. It's making a mess. All right. Put that in there. And I'm just going to go ahead and throw the extract in there right now. So that's all tasty, right? This is going to need some help. I mean, the last mixer, I complained that there was about a, ½ inch stuck to the sides. I'm complaining that there's about 1.5 to 2 inches that this thing's not even touching. Butter's in a big hunk, Amy asks, is because I didn't break it up into little tablespoon-sized chunks ahead of time. Basically, this little guy is not doing too good of a job. All right, so we're on high speed. We think this is about as creamed as it's going to get on its own. So we'll go next. See how the eggs do. Okay. I'm not giving up hope on this guy yet. Hasn't totally flunked yet, right? I haven't died. So we're going to put him on low here. We're putting in 1 egg at a time, right? We're going to slowly put in the flour. This is how you're going to tell what it's mixing, really. Come on. We got to wait for this thing to build up some speed, I guess. Okay, we have a slight dust filling up the room here. Got a little bit more. We have quite a bit of powder everywhere. I don't really see it incorporated in any way. So I'm just kind of scraping down the side. I don't know if this is considered hand beating at this point, because I'm doing more work than what this thing is on its own. So let's go ahead and turn it back on and see what it does. It's getting heavy. I say it's relatively combined. This is kind of a shipwreck at best, so I just want to put it as misery. So let's go ahead and get the chips in here, right? So I'm going to put this on 1 maybe, right? Okay, now it's kind of beating now that I got a bunch of stuff in the middle, and the bowl's not spinning, so I don't know what that means. A couple of cups of these chocolate chips, right? We're just incorporating them. It's pretty much jerking pretty bad. I'm pulling this bowl here to kind of show you that there's a big hole in the middle and everything else is pretty much stuck to the side. I don't know in terms of how well you would say that incorporated, folded in, whatever cooking term you'd use to say, let's just get some chips in here, but didn't really look pretty. I will say this dough is kind of heavy, but this little guy, he just doesn't have a way to keep it from just sticking to the sides wherever the beaters aren't. So the other one, maybe because it was an orbital mixer, it kind of went all over the place. Well, this guy pretty much kind of stuck in the middle, and that's where he beats. So if you don't have ingredients in the middle, he ain't going to touch them. They just stick to the side, and he just spins the ball. So for that, I'll be nice. I'll give him a D because he didn't fall off the planet doing it. He didn't smoke. And this is kind of, and who knows, this is a decent batter. Maybe the batter or the dough that he's supposed to make is only half of this. Who knows? But I gave him a standard size effort and he didn't die. So, but it really wasn't fun. I had to do a lot of scraping and stuff. And it's just a mess. So I'll give him a D. We'll bring up the Sunbeam next. So we have an update. As we were wiping down the Dash Go, one of Amy's Clorox wipes turned pink, and we actually got some red on the countertop, which tells me the finish is not as stable as it should be. Also, we saw some flour dust had gone into the motor. The little air vents are right above in a convenient place to get sucked in. So if you're going to use a lot of flour in your baking, that might not be a good idea with that thing. Okay, so we demoted to a D-. It still made the dough, so it didn't get an F. Now on to the Sunbeam. So the first thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and throw in our butter. So there's one. There's two, and these guys are softened already. And we're just going to go ahead and turn it up on like a medium speed or something. It actually has a speed called creaming. Okay. Ooh, it doesn't want to go through the butter. Imagine that. But it got past that roadblock. I'm on the creaming speed, so this should be ideal speed. Let's get the sugar in there. Now what I like about this is I got a nice wide opening here. So let's just go ahead and dump that in. Let's go ahead and fling him in. Doink. And we're getting that in there. And I'm just going to go ahead and throw in the vanilla extract while I'm at it. Oh God, a certain portion that just wants to stick to the sides. And we're going to go ahead and throw in these eggs in one at a time, ideally, right? So there's one egg. The bowl is slowing down. I'm not sure why. Is Sunbeam having troubles with this? Or is that by design? And 2 and 3 is called kneading. So I'm going to put it on 3. And I just basically want to get this flour mixture in there. We have a little bit of dust, but not bad. And you can kind of hear, it looks like it's not making as much of a whiny noise. So it's handling it. Why did it just turn off on its own? I'm smelling something like electrical issues. Not a fire, but when appliances aren't happy, they make a certain smell. So, did I kill a Sunbeam Heritage that's been around for 100 years in just a matter of one recipe? Okay. Okay, it's back. Oh, I see what's happening. It's not happy when you got a lot of heavy dough on speed number 1. I bet you it's got a built-in torque thingy that tells it can't operate that speed. So you have to pretty much turn it off and then turn it at a higher speed. So I'm going to go with 2. I just want to geez. I can't even operate this on a 2. I just want to get these little guys in here. I don't know. I'm going to throw that to the judge for a grade, but turn it off. Turn it to a higher speed, like this case 6. Wow. I bet you maybe, if it was truly overheating, a little reset thingy would take so many minutes to reset. So I'm thinking Sunbeam, which says it can do chocolate chip cookies, obviously can't. I can't just wait to see what happens when I make oatmeal in it. So before it shuts off, well, that didn't work so well, did it? We'll turn it off again. Turn it back on higher speed. All right. Okay, I think that's relatively incorporated. I don't know what grade to give it. It made it, but it was a little scary towards the end. For the chocolate chip cookies, it officially gets an F because it keeps shutting off. You have to reset it. It just doesn't work, period. So that gets an automatic F. We're going to make oatmeal cookies. We'll see if it survives that. But for chocolate chip cookies, it gets an F. All right, we got the Sunbeam up for round 2. We're doing oatmeal cookies. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to throw in the 1 full cube and then something else of a cube, right? It's like 6 tablespoons, I think. Go ahead and we'll get that up on mixing. Oh! Let's save electricity by turning on and off. Do we have 5,000 mile towing on our AAA so we can have AAA tow it back to where it was made? Okay, I'm kind of thinking we're
killed it, boo.
Making chocolate chip cookies. The Dash Go isn't even supposed to make oatmeal cookies, but it made them. So this is an Amy Learns to Cook first. I almost feel like this is, you know, car repair. You know, when your wife calls you and says, "Boo boo, come pick me up. My car just stopped running." Well, this is almost like it. This is, "Boo boo, my mixer stopped working. Fix it." Make sure this works. See, that's what a mixer should do. All right, let's take the Sunbeam out, right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna have the Sunbeam watching this guy do his work for him. So, Mr. Sunbeam. Flour, baking soda, we got a little cinnamon, and we have salt in here. So we're gonna have this on a low speed. Oh, that's right, I forgot. Hamilton Beach, while it does work, it also gets messy if you put the stuff in the top. I advise you to just lift the tailhead up and add your ingredients. Or we're just gonna go ahead and run that for a second. I really don't want to get that overbeaten, and that's really good enough. We're gonna add the 3 cups of oats or whatever, and the cup of raisin. I'm tired of dealing with the Hamilton Beach getting messy on the top. So it's bogging down a little bit, but I don't want to overwork the gluten from the flour. Okay, I think that's reasonably mixed. We're not really trying to kill anything here. Hamilton Beach, I'll probably give it an A-. The only reason I don't like giving it a full A is because of the poor design of the paddle, where it collects flour and stuff at the very top, causing you to have to want to lift it to add ingredients to keep from making a mess, or using your finger to keep scraping it out. I just think it's a bad design. If they would have done something like this as opposed to this, would have been a big difference. But it powered through this, it did a good job, so I would otherwise give it an A, where the Sunbeam gets a complete F because it just keeps shutting off all the time. Not quite 2 sticks of butter. It's gonna be 1 stick plus 6 tablespoons. And to that, we're going to add 3/4 cup of packed brown sugar and 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. So you'll see how it's all nice and packed in there, right? So we lower this bad boy down, put him on here, and we'll see if he wants to mix this time. I don't know. He's creaming what he comes in contact with. He's spinning the bowl very nicely. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and throw the eggs in. The recipe doesn't call for saying one at a time, so we're just going to throw both in at the same time. And we're also throwing just 2 eggs, and we're also throwing a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And now our spinning actions come to an abrupt end. So let's spin the bowl. So we'll see if the flour kills him. If the flour doesn't, we'll see if this stuff does. Okay, so we've got a little bit of flour in there. The flour is getting sucked into the motor, as you can see. All right. We got all kinds of flour. I would say it's definitely earning a better grade on this attempt. Now, should we kill it? We have 3 cups of oatmeal with 1 cup of raisins. This bowl is about as big as that bowl is. We're definitely going to go past the max line. But you know what they say, the show must go on. Lord. Oh my God, this is like is this supposed to be concrete, Amy? He did the job. He should get at least a C. He's got a design flaw sucking powder in there, and that could, who knows? We know it also has other issues. But just weighing on the merits of what it did this. So I'd say I'd give it a C. You could give it a B. I don't care. I'll give him a B-. I'll be good, okay? A B- for the little guy. How's that?
We are on to test number 2. Our first contender in test number 2 is the Hamilton Beach. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a meringue. That means we're going to use the whip. So we got our whip on. We're going to go ahead and lower this down. And we are going to put in egg whites from 4 eggs. And you want to make sure your egg whites, you don't want to get any of the yolk in there. Otherwise, it's not going to set up. So let's put our egg whites in here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to foam these. And to get them to foam, we're going to need to put a little cream of tartar. And we're going to put about 1/2 teaspoon of cream of tartar in here. And so we've got a really nice foam going on. We're going to go ahead and put in 1.5 cups of sugar. And this seems to be doing a great job. So we're just going to let this go until it forms stiff peaks. And let's check it. It looks like we are at stiff peaks. My assessment of the mixer, they're really glossy. We got stiff peaks out of them. I think it did an outstanding job whipping. I think you can make some nice whipped cream with this. You can make nice meringue for lemon meringue pie. You can beat your egg whites to put in your waffles. I give it an A. Okay, our second and final contender, because one of our contenders is no longer in the program, the Dash Go. And this little thing we're going to try, it doesn't have any whip, so we're going to have to go with the beaters here. Then we got 4 egg whites. And we're going to go ahead and start beating them. Crank this up on high, and we're going to get our foam. So we're going to put 1/2 teaspoon of cream of tartar in there. looks like we're out of foam here, so I'm going to go ahead and add in our sugar. Look! The air blowing out of it kicked the sugar out. Whoa! Because the motor in here is blowing air, as soon as I put the sugar in, it just blew back on me. Kind of having the same issue. I have a lot of foam that was built up on the outside, but it's not going in the meringue. So let's see what we have here. Looks like we have stiff peaks. So the Dash Goes meringue, we do have stiff peaks. You see how it stays up when you go like this? You get a nice glossy appearance, and this will make a really good lemon meringue pie. I would say it did an okay job. I really think that it gets to the result, but it's sort of a headache getting to that result. You really had to work it. I had to constantly, break those foam down. I had stuff flying because there's air blowing out the front. I mean, it will get you there to make a meringue, but it's a little bit of a rough ride. A little rough for me, anyway. I pretty much give it a C. Okay, the next contender in the bread dough category is our Hamilton Beach. And what I've done is I've put in a cup of 100-degree water and 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. And I just let it sit there for maybe 5 minutes so it could bloom a little bit. So now we're going to put in a 1/2 stick of melted butter that I've cooled. In here I have 3 tablespoons of sugar and a teaspoon of salt. Put that in there. And I also have 1 egg. And we're going to give that a little bit of a beat. And we're going to start adding our flour. So I have 3 1/2 cups of flour. We may not have to use all this. It really depends on the humidity and how dry your flour is. So we're just going to start putting it in. And I'm seeing the same problem that Eric had. I think I'm going to raise this. And I'm going to start out with putting a cup in there. And then let that beat a little bit, because I don't want it to get all on the top of my beater here. Seems like it's laboring a little bit. Yeah, let's check the consistency of the dough. The dough looks pretty good. We probably don't need any more flour on it. Maybe just a tiny little bit, but we shouldn't need too much more. And now we'll let this go. We need to let this knead for probably 5 minutes. So we'll see. So when I turn it up on 3, I got a really loud, like, banging sound. More like a cracking sound. It's not looking good. It's having a lot of trouble. And what's interesting is this is the basic white bread dough out of the Hamilton Beach instruction book. So this is the recipe they give us for this, so it better not kill it, right? It did make some sounds in there that scared me a little bit. Okay, so I think we've kneaded enough. I don't have a really good dough ball. I mean, it's okay. It just seems like it's just really labored. I mean, it was making some sounds that sort of scared me there for a minute. The dough is okay. It's not super well kneaded. It's not like a real smooth ball. And usually dough, you can pull it like this and you'll get like a window when you know it's been properly kneaded. And see how it just breaks? It's not kneaded enough. The recipe says knead it for 2 minutes, but I've been kneading it for a couple minutes and I'm not getting that window. Usually when you stretch it, you get like a really thin window, and I'm just not getting that. It really needs to be kneaded some more. I'll have to knead it by hand, I think. I think on dough it's a fail. So now we have the dash and go, and we've put a cup of water, 100 degrees, 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast in here. We've let it set for active dry yeast. We've let it set for about 5 minutes, so we're ready to rock and roll. In here, I have 3 tablespoons of sugar and a teaspoon of salt. We have half a stick of butter that I've let cool. I melted it and then I let cool. You don't want to put it in hot, otherwise it's gonna kill your yeast, right? And we're gonna put in an egg. And now we're gonna go, right? This is 3 1/2 cups of flour. We're probably gonna use 3 cups, depending if we need the other half a cup. Will depend on how the dough feels. So let's go ahead and see what the Dash Go can do. I want to be careful because I don't want to get that flour up the motor. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of this flour in. So I think the powers, I have this up on a 5, which is, I think the power's there. I don't hear the motor bogging. But the big problem is just the mixing. The whole way the beaters are, it's almost like it's just digging it. It's not like kneading it. It's just digging on it. Let's take this off and see what we got. It didn't even bring it together as a ball. This is really a mess. It just really teared the dough, and it's really going to take me putting it on a board and kneading it out to get a smooth dough ball. Let me put it back in here. Yeah, I'm getting the same action. Within seconds, it's just like shredding this thing again. Look what it did to the dough. It just like shredded it. It's hard to see on the camera, but it's not good. It made a ball of dough. I could have done it by hand easier. Honestly, I could have. It would be nice dough once I get it on the board and knead it out. But, you know, that's what I bought the machine for. And it just didn't do it. So, the Dash and Go, you failed. Okay, so the winner. This is tough because I really think that there aren't any mixers that we tested that, you know, really make the grade entirely. You know, the Sunbeam obviously is out. That is completely dead, and I just totally cannot recommend it, even though I look at it and I just love it, right? I'm just heartbroken. Clearly the winner is the Hamilton Beach. The Dash and Go, while, you know, it is only $30, it kept blowing stuff into the motor, and that is really bad. And as a matter of fact, it blew stuff in my face when I was doing the meringue. I would leave it on the shelf, honestly. The Hamilton Beach, I would say it's a good little mixer. If you have never had a stand mixer before and you don't intend to make bread, I would say as a starter mixer, it is a good little choice. It does have a lot of limitations. It has a limitation with the suction cups. I think the suction cups are pretty ridiculous. It is such a pain to move that thing around. I just want to rip it from the counter. I really think that is in many ways a deal killer for me. But if you only want to spend $80, $50 in my case, because I got it on a mid-year Black Friday sale, for $50 you can't go wrong. And I don't think, you know, for $50 you're really going to find a machine that can do dough. That's just the bottom line. Ultimately, if you're really serious about learning to cook and you want to take your cooking to another level, you know, you might want to think from the jump to save up and go for a better machine. So the Hamilton Beach is the winner of our stand mixers under $100. It is a pretty good machine that will get you started, and you can start making some fabulous stuff. Okay guys, so we are going to bring out the big boys next. We are going to test a KitchenAid Pro 600. It's a 6-quart mixer. It's one of the top of the line KitchenAids, and we're going to put that against a Bosch Universal. The Bosch Universal claims that you can make 4 or 5 loaves of bread in that bad boy, and we are going to put them to the test to see what they can do. So watch for my next episode, my next upload, and we will be doing the stand mixer challenge between the KitchenAid and the Bosch. If you like this video, please subscribe below and leave me a comment and a like, and visit my website at amylearnstocook.com. I'm also on Twitter and Pinterest at Amy Learns to Cook.